Hello and welcome to another episode of the Auto Guide Show brought to you by eBay Motors. This week, Kyle goes overseas to drive an SUV. There's some Toyota news, a lot of Toyota news, and it's all around sports cars. And we talk to someone who really likes a certain manufacturer. But first, a word from our sponsor. Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix, tools scattered everywhere, and boom, you realize you're missing a part. It's okay because you know whatever it is, it's on eBay. They've got everything, brakes, headlights, cold air intakes, whatever you need, and it's guaranteed to fit, which means no more crossing your fingers and hoping you order the right thing. All the parts you need at the prices you'll love, guaranteed fit every time. eBay, things people love. All right, welcome back. We'll get into this. It's sort of a LA Auto Show hangover episode. I don't feel like I've recovered yet and still pumping out stories that we talked about last week, but there was some new stuff, including the trip you took. This was right before LA, right?
It was, yeah. I got home 3 days before we left for LA or something like that. Yeah.
So you flew all the way over there just to take a picture that looks like it's pretty much on my street.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. It was the most complicated autumn shot. I'm happy because I actually haven't gotten any shots like this season here. So yeah, we went to Copenhagen and Malmo in Sweden to drive the 2025 and a half Volvo XC90.
Good for Volvo for bringing that back.
The half model years?
Yeah, like back in the day they did it all the time, like way back before our time, but there's still some every once in a while like, oh, you don't want the 94 Integra, you want the 94.5. I totally made that up, but that used to be a thing.
Yeah. So I guess it's because the 2025 model year already showed up here, but now there's this facelift and they didn't want to wait and just call it a 26. So yes, so this is a car that technically I don't think was supposed to exist. I think the EX90, which I drove a few months back in North America, was meant to replace this. And then, well, Volvo swerved, like a lot of brands are swerving.
People stopped buying EVs and the numbers people or manufacturers hoped. So
yeah. They're still, it's just not as quick as maybe people, or maybe more accurately governments expected. So
sorry to interrupt, but I think they were the first one, I think, that did the swerve initially, but wasn't really like, no, we said all Volvos will have electrification by 2030. You're like, no, I'm pretty sure you said electric, but
yeah, and they're like, no, we've scrubbed that from all of our websites, you can't say it. Yeah, it's, look, I think I say this in the article, the EX90 does make a ton of sense for most people who probably own XC90s already. Probably isn't going to change much to their day-to-day, but it is more expensive. And no matter what, well, maybe not forever, but for the next little while at least, electric doesn't work for everyone, right? Like if you're in a remote area or blah, blah, blah. So keeping the XC90 around with its plug-in powertrain or mild hybrid makes a ton of sense. And also, I mean, it's just really good. It's been one of the vehicles that I recommend to people if they're looking for something in this class, even though it's going on a decade old. So yeah, this one just updates the looks outside, and it's always been a really handsome SUV. It has a really cool new grille and squintier headlights. And then the interior gets a tech upgrade, which is what it very badly needed. So, it fixes what was broken and doesn't really change what was successful before. The third row is still tight. That's a complaint. But otherwise,
can't change that on the same platform.
No, exactly. So yeah.
Is it still got the tablet style? Because it was like the first to do that, even before Tesla.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just a little bit bigger now.
And squinty headlights. Like when they're going to get to the point where they're just like a razor thin light strip. And then all of a sudden someone will make the biggest, roundest headlights, and that'll be the new trend.
Well, I mean, like Chevy right now, right, with its EVs, they're all really thin little strips. And I just, I was thinking about, we've driven it recently, you very recently, the VW Atlas, how its headlights are actually more vertical oriented, and it's kind of rare. I like that these kind of shrink wrap. Yeah. So these kind of shrink wrap around the Thor's headlight, Thor's hammer headlights. I think they're really cool. The grill with its alternating slats looks very cool and very modern. Yeah, it's good.
I do like the new look. It's when I first saw it, I thought, oh, like for a refresh, they've really changed it up. Just with the headlight thing, I've been saying this for a while. I should have a whole video on this. Maybe I will. Cars ahead of their time. The Nissan Juke of all cars had it right. It was the first one to come out with the lights on top, and like the fog lights were really the headlights, and everything's like that now. Like the Infiniti I'm driving, which we'll talk about later, it has that style. Like it's crazy. Every Hyundai seems to have that.
There was a really good article from another outlet recently about that, where it's to mask the height of modern vehicles, right? And so we have these stacked headlights because otherwise there's just too much sheet metal up front to deal with. We say all that, but I mean, this looks handsome, and it doesn't do that. So,
and the headlights probably positioned too high to get the proper sight down the road. But anyway,
yeah.
And you got to reference Talking Heads, which anyone under the age of 40 probably wouldn't know. But
So I was happy to drive it. There are some annoying things, like for the fact that there's no wireless CarPlay. It's still wired, which is frustrating, especially in a premium vehicle.
At least it has CarPlay. All right, moving on. Toyota has confirmed the. Okay, is it Celica or Celica? I don't know. Everyone has their own.
I'm unsure, but the Mitsubishi is the Celica, or right? So then, by definition, this kind of has to be the Celica.
Whatever you call it, it's coming back. It was it was asked to one Japanese executive, and he kind of skirted around the question, and then the other guy just grabbed the mic and said, "It's coming back." So it's coming back. I think I have two guesses. One is the FIA's released the new regulations for WRC cars, and they've relaxed, like the hybrids are going and some other things because they're just getting too expensive and fast and technical. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's their next car, like they just call it that, even though it's really replacing like a Yaris or something.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's going full Prelude and it'll be like a EV thing.
Well, Prelude's not an EV. They walked that back.
Yeah, it's hybrid now.
Yeah. Well, so maybe it'll be. I was gonna say a Prius coupe, but that's basically what the Prius already is. So
that's actually a good call. I mean, it is like that, but you could do a two-door. But if they're planning to do this for sure, I'm surprised if it's going to be that, because wouldn't they just wait another year or two and see how the Prelude does before they jump in?
Well, I mean, I think Toyota's kind of riding high on the like sporty aspect of its lineup, and so why not just do a Celica? I think there's room for it. There's excitement for it. If you would have told me 2 years ago that a Prelude and a Celica would have been back, I wouldn't have believed it.
No, it's funny. I don't think it's going to cycle because Honda brought out the Prelude because they didn't really have anything sporty except for their Civic at the time, and that's what they are again.
And now it's basically a Civic coupe.
Yeah, although I don't think it's getting the Type R engine because that would be awesome.
No. Then there wouldn't really be a point in. Yeah, I'm curious. I think the thing that I'm most unsure of is where does this fit in a lineup? If the GR86 is staying a third generation, what do you do? Like, because originally, if the 86's inspiration is the old Corollas, those sit below the Celica, but then you can't really fit a Celica in between this and a Supra, except I guess if the Supra is dying.
Hey, we haven't got to that article yet. I think it could exist with the 86 because it would be front, and it would have a usable back seat. I think would be would be the big difference.
Okay.
How we joked about it being a two-door Prius, it could just be a two-door GR Corolla, like the sedan body style with
like the SEMA concept.
Yeah. No, not the 86.
Well, no, but I mean, they're prepping us. They painted it in the Celica livery. They're just getting us ready for this idea of a Corolla coupe.
Exactly, because they're probably like, well, we can't call it the A86. We already have an 86. So so call the Celica, and hey, there's your next rally car. See?
Call it the...
it all makes sense.
GT4.
I take back everything I said before. That's my new guess.
Okay, cool.
Two-door GR Corolla.
Wicked.
Hey, a Toyota sports car in allegedly orange.
Yes, yes. It was a dark, rainy day when I shot this, and it is the 2024 Toyota Supra GR Supra, sorry, 45th anniversary edition in solar orange because it's Canadian. It's McCann
Wow, the
orange in the US.
GR Supra has been out for 45 years. Wow.
Yeah, right. This is. It's funny because the press release they talk about how this is an homage to the '90s car, and I'm like, wait, what? What does this have to do with the '90s car? And then they mention that it was popular in a series of movies, and you're like, oh, this
That's
is a
also why.
reference to Fast and Furious. But they didn't bother actually doing anything with Universal because that would have required money and licensing, and yeah.
Now that they're trying, now that they did it because of that, I'm a little upset that they didn't put the wing and the graphics on. Like,
Right?
go for it, right? Yeah. All
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a sticker package or visual package, although it does have an adjustable rear wing, which is new for a Supra. So that's different. But otherwise, it's just the same great package as before, which I really enjoy. It's fun. It's lightweight. It's a manual. It's a really good manual. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little dated inside, and you and I have both driven the Supra before, and it's not the easiest to get in and out of or see in and out of. But it's fun.
It's like a modern day RX-8. It's a great car to drive. Not an easy car to necessarily live with as your solo ride, but
Although the difference here is you have a BMW engine, so you can rely on it.
if you say so.
But I mean, I really enjoy it and will miss it when it's gone.
And speaking of which, Toyota gives the Supra its final edition. So, three things. One, I didn't know the Supra was dying this fast. I mean, I guess Toyota's trying to preempt the Mark IV that way overstayed its life in other places, and they finally had to kill it off. Remember the last year, even in North America, it was auto only because the manual couldn't meet emissions. Poor Supra.
Yes. Yeah, and it ran to like 2001 in Japan.
Yeah, at least, yeah. So that's the first thing. The second is this is not just a sticker package or a paint package like the last one. This one has a lot. Like the horsepower is up like to 430 or something.
So the actual figure that the Supra normally produces.
Probably, yeah, because we know it's all underrated.
Yeah.
But it's only in Europe and Japan, which makes me sad, which also makes me think it's only right-hand drive.
Yeah, it's probably not worth them doing two different. Who took the picture, by the way, for this? I just want to. Come on, guys! Did they forget they were doing this? It's a black car and a black room with a little bit of light. Like,
I think that's the point. They can reveal a little bit more and more. It's got some extra flares on the wheels, and
yeah, and it looks like it has a hood scoop.
322, I think they're making, and I don't even want to guess what the price will be.
And that's the first purchase price. I mean, it sounds fantastic. There's been rumors for so long that the Supra would get a higher power M. Well, I mean, not M, but an M engine, right? And so it's not, because this is an odd horsepower figure that doesn't align with anything in BMW's lineup. I'm just excited. I mean, I'm not excited because, like you said, it's not coming here, but this is going to be a fun little send off.
I think you're right. I think someone in Toyota Europe took it to a dyno and said, "Oh, this is what it really makes," and then that's the new number.
I said in my review that it's the Supra's 382 horsepower that's stated is just pre-tax, and so once you add tax, then you have the proper horsepower figure.
And as we were talking about the Celica, it has a place, I guess, kind of, but I just hope it's not like an expensive, not a sporty car, but we'll see.
Yeah. Also, I just want to point out that this is manual only. This final edition went from auto only at launch to introducing a manual to now dying as a manual.
It's the way it should.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, they're trying not to do the Mark IV where it died as an auto.
Mm-hmm.
So this has been a theme, and I didn't even mean this when I put all the stories together, but hey, talking about manufacturers walking back EV targets. Porsche's thinking of they're planning, or are they thinking? I'm not really sure, but there could be gasoline engines in their EV cars, future EV cars. They're not going to go throw a V8 in the Taycan, although that would be cool, but it'd also make the Panamera redundant.
Well, the Panamera is bigger, but yeah, I saw this story and I had some thoughts on it. mostly like our colleague Mike too mentions that maybe they'd refresh the Macan or the 718 to keep them going longer, since both of those, well, the Macan EV now exists and the 718s are supposed to have an EV replacement. Porsche can't really do that with those two because there's an issue in Europe where those platforms are just dead because of cybersecurity issues. So those ones, no. But I'm thinking,
wait, a platform's dead because of cybersecurity?
Yeah,
Someone steal the blueprints to them?
it's something to do with the in-car security systems. The ECU and stuff can't actually exist with EU regulations going forward. And Porsche has said before that it isn't worth the investment to try and make them eligible. So that is a tough thing. But vehicles like the Cayenne or the Panamera, those platforms were planned to have more electrification in the future. So I'm guessing now Porsche is doing what a lot of brands are doing and just kind of making sure that it's malleable, and so they can change the percentages, right? It's like, oh, well, we're not going to sell as many EVs as we thought. Let's make sure we can still sell gas models. And like the 911 is staying forever. So
yeah, they did say the V8's staying, but reading and thinking about it, I mean, maybe I'm thinking too literal, but my interpretation is the 718 replacement is Porsche's maybe sitting there thinking, we may not sell as many as these as we used to. This was a pretty good breadwinner for us. So now they're maybe looking at how can we put an engine, like a new engine, not one with this faulty ECU, back in this car somehow.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, because that platform or that project has been in the works for years, and it was supposed to debut, I think, by the end of this year, maybe next year. So maybe that's why we haven't seen it. Maybe they're reworking it. But if it's an EV from the ground up, it's going to be a little hard and a little ironic to have to work an engine into it because the floor plan. But I mean, the 718, as much as the Boxster kind of saved Porsche in the 90s, it doesn't sell much these days, at least in North America. So maybe the EV versions wouldn't have sold as well, but it wouldn't be like a percentage big difference. I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I hope that it's just a blend, and I hope that if there's gas engines, great gas engines, then great. But also, I hope Porsche isn't just going to backtrack on EVs, because they make really good EVs too.
Well, I got to make what's selling, right? So
yeah.
The auto business is business. Something like a Boxster is probably, I mean, you and I are not engineers in the slightest, but it seems that would be one of the easier ones to suddenly 180 because everything's kind of in one spot. Whereas if it's a front engine vehicle that was developed as a EV, you probably don't even have like the clearance or anything up front for an engine, but you don't really have to worry about that as much.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And we'll get the battery out and make it a gas tank. But yeah, who knows? Yeah, we'll see. So a manufacturer may have delayed an EV only car because they want to get some gas in there. Seems like I've heard this a couple times this year.
Huh.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the reviews. Not really. It was more
news and reviews. Yeah.
So we'll take a quick break here on the Auto Guide Show brought to you by eBay Motors. And when we come back, we will be talking with someone who is a huge fan of Honda. And then after that, Kyle and I will be back with the question of the week. Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you'll find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay, things people love. Hello and welcome back to another edition from our SEMA interview sessions. This week we have a special guest. If you could just introduce yourself and what you do to our audience.
How's everyone doing? I am HondaPro Jason. I'm a Honda brand advocate.
All right. Well, yeah. And you have been for quite some time too, because I first met you well over a decade ago. So where did the idea come for this sort of online persona of HondaPro Jason?
It was a complete accident, honestly. So I was a Honda salesman, and I wanted to share the knowledge I had about the Honda vehicles with other people. It was 2012. I'm like, I have knowledge. People are always asking me questions. Let me make a video. Let me explain everything I know about a certain car, which happened to be the 2012 Honda Accord. In this video, let me put this video up on YouTube and let other people look at it and maybe learn from it. And then it just started growing. People asked for more videos and more videos. And they asked me to start going to different events around the country and then around the world. And then I was asked to start training Honda salesmen around the country, around the world. And eventually just stopped selling cars and just embraced what I was working with. And that was it. Like, it was never intentional. It's crazy.
Well, speaking about intentions, we have heard the rumor that you legally changed your name to HondaPro. Is this true?
This is not true.
Okay.
I did want to change my name. So I got really mad at Facebook. This is years ago, probably 2014, 2015. Facebook shut my page down because they said my name wasn't HondaPro Jason. You need an actual ID for your name to be real on there. They want real people. And I told my wife, and I'm like, you know what? I'm changing my name. She goes, no, you're not. I go, yeah, I'm going to do HondaPro will be my first name. Jason will be my middle name, and then I'll have my last name. And a lot of people go by the middle names.
It's true.
Her fear was I'd introduce myself to my kids' teachers as HondaPro. Hi, I'm HondaPro, which I said I wouldn't, but so be it. I haven't changed my name, but I would like to.
I mean, if you say it fast enough and people don't know
And
context
Jason.
of, just HondaPro, like they might just think it's, some European ethnic name they don't know
Possibly.
about.
It's
because
true. It's true.
If you don't really pick out the Honda and the Pro, you just run it all together.
I could do that.
And you could lean into it and say like it's got some like very important family value. It's a traditional name. You're just I'm just holding on to it.
This is my son, HondaPro Jr.
I love it. Can you imagine?
Give you
Yeah.
HPJ. So
Yeah.
So obviously you'll be driving a Honda right now. Can you tell us what you are driving right now? And apparently it's here at the show.
Yes. So I have a 2023 Honda FL5. So it's a Civic Type R.
Nice.
Championship white. Loaded with pretty much every bolt-on, go-fast parts you can do. Upgraded turbo, run E85, Titan 7 wheels, suspension, lots of Save-On carbon. It's loaded. Missing a couple things, like the doors here at SEMA.
But you still have the doors, right?
I still have the doors. The doors are actually in Lake Elsinore. Where all doors should be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how'd it get here? You ship it over here then?
Yeah, they shipped it. They
You didn't
shipped it
go full
over.
Jeep mode down the freeway?
No, but they did drive it into the event, and they said the looks and pictures that people were taking, they were like, they've never seen a car drive around without doors, other than like a Jeep.
Yeah, but it's a very practical thing, right? I mean, there's some tight clearances in here, so not having the doors makes it really easy to
Yes.
see. Yeah.
They said they kept looking, though, when they were turning, they were looking at the side mirrors, or trying to. And they're like, oh.
Yeah.
Strangely, the only light that came on, so no lights came on other than the side mirror light for the blind spot indicator. Blind spot indicator light came on because there's no mirrors. No other lights came on.
Not even like your doors open?
Nothing.
Maybe they know what's missing. Well, you don't need side mirrors when you have a Type R, right? Because you don't need to see what's behind you anymore.
Of course, everything's behind you when you drive a Type R.
But just getting further behind you, so it's
Right,
not a problem.
right.
So, you said you've been to many events all over the world. I
All
first
over the
met
world.
you, like, well over 10 years ago at an event. I couldn't
yeah.
even tell you the event. Obviously, it's a Honda one.
Sure.
What's your favorite, or do you have a favorite through your time going to all
Favorite
these events?
place to go to?
No, favorite
Or-
event. Like just an event that sticks
Oh my
out
God.
forever.
I love Honda Euromeet. It's in France. It's in a way out in the boonies, in the middle of nowhere in France, this huge track, and it's an event that has about 2,000 to 2,500 people. And what's great about it is it's a 3-day event, and there are no spectators. Everyone drives there, parks their car, and sleeps there for 3 days, which is awesome. So it's not like everyone there is just part of the event, which is outstanding. And you see cars you've never seen before. You meet people from all over Europe. It's really cool.
Does
That's
Honda,
definitely one of my favorites.
they hook you up with the car when you go over there?
Honda, they do.
All right.
Honda France sets me up with. I've had a ZRV, which was super cool. I'm sorry. Was it a ZRV? No, it was a ZRV.
Yeah.
So it's like our HRV, but more Acura.
Wow.
So it's got all the Acura touches on our HRV. And Acura's coming out with an ADX, I
Yeah.
believe, soon. I think it's going to be the same car.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be the same car. They make it already,
Yeah.
and they already said it was going to be much like the HRV. So I can't imagine it would be any different. So it's, power tailgate, upgraded motor, panoramic roof, like all the Acura stuff on the HRV, which is what Acura needs, and may be a perfect car for it.
Yeah, we were talking about that on a podcast a few weeks ago about how we think the ADX will, basically be our HRV, but with the Civic turbo engine, right? Or maybe a hybrid engine, right? Like something to elevate.
A couple extra power things, extra seats, and it is so it's a ZRV out in Europe.
So, I mean, that sounds like it was an interesting vehicle, but probably not the answer to this next question. You've driven a lot of Hondas. If you have to pick one favorite.
You know how often I get asked this question?
Oh, yeah, no, I know. But we want it recorded.
So I don't have a favorite one Honda.
Okay.
Because I like Hondas for what they've done for the industry through time. Like the first, the T360, the first four-wheel drive Honda, the first Civic, S2000, the NSX. All these cars have their moment in history that's important. I can tell you if I was to pick one car to keep forever, that would be a brand new Honda Odyssey. And only because that car does everything perfectly. It's got great power. Excuse me. Great power. Great handling. It fits anyone you want. It's got an amazing stereo system. It's a great road trip car. And it looks good. Like it checks all of the boxes. The Type R, I have a Civic Type R, right? I love it. It holds 4 people.
Yeah.
It's not the best all-around car forever. I can't really bring my whole family plus one. They don't fit. The Odyssey, I can fit everyone. My friends, and it totally goes under the radar. It really checks all the boxes. That would be my one car I'd keep forever, if I was to choose one.
I love that you're team minivan. We appreciate that.
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. I mean, in good company.
Yeah.
So back to SEMA, because that's where we're doing this interview. I mean, by the time this airs, it'll be old news, but besides your car, because obviously that's your favorite.
One, yeah.
What else has really stood out here at SEMA to you? Do you let other cars you walk by and you're like, ooh.
There are a lot of Type Rs here.
There are.
A ton of, which is amazing because it's not a brand new car. And the fact that the aftermarket world has taken a liking to it and other people like to modify it, I think it's amazing. But I think I like all the Actis, all the K trucks.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of those.
Right? Because they're now starting to get more and more popular here because people are allowed to import them. And they're inexpensive. And they're fun to modify, and they attract attention. So I really like seeing all the K-trucks here.
We saw a Life, the van, yesterday. It's at one of the, I can't remember where, but it was buried way in the back of one of the buildings somewhere.
Yeah,
My Honda Radar
away.
will find it.
You will, If anyone can find it.
Did
you see the Gasser CRX that's parked out in the parking lot?
No.
So it's a CRX with Mustang taillights grafted in.
It was in the other lot the other year. Pinto.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Pinto, Mustang, CRX.
Yeah,
green,
Pinto
I
headlights.
think.
Yeah, and it's jacked way up in the air.
Yeah. It was, It was in the West Hall lot last year. It's interesting. But here's the thing, though. A lot of people look at that and like, oh my God, why would you do that? What a piece of, who was an idiot? It's just about modifying. It's just about being an individual. Is stance my type of thing? No, but I appreciate it. I like that people can do that. We do whatever we want. You want to drop the car on the ground and put the wheels out like that? Do it. You want to put a big stereo in the car and make it shake and rattle? Then do it. Whatever makes you happy, just enjoy it. That's what modifying cars is all about.
My personal favorite Honda at this show is there's a first gen NSX in red, of course, and it's
Import Alliance booth.
It is in such just the perfect spec the way they've done it.
Yeah, they have a lot of Spoon Sports parts. They've molded everything really nice. You saw the rear bumper with the turbos.
Yeah,
got turbos on the rear bumper.
Yeah, remote turbos. Yeah,
it's a great build. It really is. Yeah.
I saw it. I was like, I was saying to Kyle when we saw it, like, there's so many over-the-top crazy things, and like we feature that in our best cars of the show. Something like that almost goes under the radar. But if I was to pick one to be able to like drive and take home, that's the kind of car that, because it is like it's something you wouldn't be a rolling car show every. Well, I guess you would because it's an NSX, but it's tastefully done. It's something it is. I would definitely.
But it attracts attention and it looks good.
Yeah, it's not like an EV bright blue Ferrari Dino or anything.
Like that, yeah. Who would pick that as one of their favorites of the show?
Yeah.
Oh, I was in good company a moment ago.
Yeah, we picked all the interesting cars, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll definitely probably run into you at a future event because Honda's always got new stuff coming out.
Anything Honda related, I'll be there.
Before we sign off with our special guest, though, put a shout out. Where can people find your info on your doorless Type R?
All my stuff is under HondaPro Jason.
There we go.
So Facebook, YouTube, Yelp, Twitter,
Yelp.
X. Yelp. I'm on Yelp.
The artist formerly known as Twitter.
The artist. No, that's funny. Well done. Yeah. Yeah. Yelp. I do like burger reviews and places I've eaten and
Nice.
Yelp stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you do know with the doorless car at this show, that's got to be your thing now. So now you have to make like mesh half doors that still have the power mirror buttons and windows.
Right. Every show now I have to go doorless.
Yeah.
You do.
Awesome. I'm thinking about putting those little rubber ducks like the Jeeps do in the dashboard. Good idea.
I think so. Yeah.
I
Start
think
a
people
trend.
would like that. I'll start a trend.
Yeah.
Maybe get a company here to make like the old BMW Z1 where the doors just sink into the actual body.
Not a bad idea.
So you still have them, but it looks doorless.
I have BMW M-Spec wheels on my car.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
The fenders, Saban did fenders for me that are an inch wider. Honda spec wheels don't work because they're not wide enough. So they went with BMW M2 spec wheels and they fit perfectly. But yeah, can you imagine coming back here next year, the year after, and everyone takes their doors off the car? And you're like, we're with HondaPro and he did it just because, and now everyone's, that'd be interesting.
Could be the next thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
why
our
would
prediction
it
for
not
SEMA
be the next
25.
thing? It'd be pretty easy to do. And it's and you can see inside the car. Like honestly, what do you, unless your doors are carbon, what are you showing off with the doors? Nothing, right? You want to see in the car. You want to see the cage. You want to see the shifter. You want to see the seats. You want to see every gauge cluster. You can't see that with the door shut. Take them off. Let's do
Really?
it.
It's the practical choice.
Take off your doors. SEMA 2025. That's going to be a hashtag.
See, that'll be
Doorless.
There. Yeah, doorless will be there.
Doorless
There's the-
SEMA 25.
It'll be hashtag no doors, more room for people. That doesn't go, does it?
We've got months to.
I'm
work
sure
on
there's
that.
something you can put in there, right?
More doors show the floors,
Oh, more doors show the floor.
and all the guys with the big pickups will start like having door holders in their bed for where they put their
Jeez,
doors.
yeah,
Totally.
like slots
Yeah.
for the doors.
That is, I think we're onto something.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yes, very cool.
All right. Well, we got next year all sorted out. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for being on the
Of
show.
course.
And
Thanks for having
like
me.
I said, I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
You will. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so welcome back. That guy really does like Honda. I've known him actually for well over a decade, and he's the same guy. Like it's pretty rare to meet someone who's just genuine. Like this is who they are,
Yeah.
and never apologize for it, and have made sort of a successful sort of niche career. I mean, kudos to Honda too for hiring him because those are the kind of people that should be out training staff and spreading the word. Someone who cares enough to really know what's what. So
It's true.
So moving on to our question of the week. There it is. It is not a question. It's become discussion of the week. Oh, but the logo took out some of the words. Oh, well.
It's discussion week, which almost, I mean, same basic meaning.
Yeah. So we very briefly talked about this. It's just something that's kind of caught my attention the more I drive them is, what's with those truck engines? So V8s.
What's the deal with truck engines?
What's with those truck engines? So V8s are dying, sadly, unless you're GM, in trucks. And the replacement engines, it almost seems like nonchalant, like, oh, here's our new engine. It makes this crazy amount of horsepower from this. And if you step back and think about it, you're like, wait, we have what powering that? So what sparked my interest this week is I'm in the QX80, which we'll talk about later, but it's 450 horsepower from a 3.5 liter twin turbo V8 or V6. The twin turbo V6 3.8 liter in the GTR made just a bit over that when it debuted. Now that was a decade ago, but like
2 decades
this
ago.
this is something that's like meant to like tow a bunch or haul a family. And I'll let you go into Stellantis because I know that's your favorite, but the like Ford's EcoBoosts have always made pretty good power for what they are, but some of the newer truck engines, you're just like, it's nuts. I mean, Toyota with their hybrid turbo V6 are making like what, high 400s or something.
High 400s and then almost 600 pound-feet. Right? Wait.
So
yeah. Something.
go on with
No,
the one that's
tons.
the one that's the craziest.
Yeah, so for me, when I drove the refreshed Ram 1500 earlier this year, and it has the Hurricane inline 6 turbo, that was the point where I had this light bulb moment too, where, oh yeah, in the top trim it'll make 540 horsepower, and you're sitting there going, Wait, this is a 3-liter inline six, 540. That is as much as the refreshed M3 competition all-wheel drive makes in a truck.
Which is like this crazy expensive, like almost like, oh, it's so special. We had to do so much to this engine to work on it. And then Rams over here, like, this thing's gonna tow 10,000 pounds and go through a low-speed transfer case.
And that's why, in the weirdest way possible, when the gas version of the new Charger launches next year, it will be the closest thing you can get from America for an M4, at least in terms of its general layout. It's going to be much bigger, but that and a Mustang.
Stop, Kyle. You're giving away our comparison ideas. Charger versus M4.
It's nuts. It's weird. Like, surely. I mean, again, you said earlier, we're not engineers, but I imagine a high-strung turbo inline six being used in a vehicle that's supposed to be towing regularly could be a problem down the road.
Like I said, like crawling through mud and stuff. Yeah, I mean, obviously they know what they're doing, and it is obviously also tuned to behave different than the M4, but part of it of why those engines are common is the cost, but we all know how much trucks cost. But like like I said, it's going to the Charger. Imagine they put that in. They could make like a new sports car, not a Viper because it's a 6-cylinder, but something, and shove it in. And I mean, the GTR is dying, but imagine if Nissan just said, "Oh, we have this twin turbo V6 that we have a sports car called the Z. I wonder if it fits in here."
Don't they do that already? It's a smaller one. It's a 3-liter, not a 3.5.
Put it in the 3.5. So I have one more too.
Okay.
So this I talked about a little bit when we did the Traverse, and I got to look it up because I can't remember the exact number, but Chevrolet has the Colorado and GMC Canyon, and it's got a 4-cylinder turbo that makes...
Oh, the 2.7?
Yeah, it makes like, what is it, 400 horsepower or something now?
3 something, but 400 pound-feet, if not more. It's in the CT4V.
Yeah, 310 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque from a 4-cylinder. It's like, like I remember. I mean, again, this is going back a bit, so yeah, times have changed. But remember when like the STI and the Evo, even in like the late 2000s, it was like over 300 horsepower from a 4-cylinder. That's insane. And now there's another truck that's making way more torque. And when Mercedes started going to like 350 with their 2-liter, it seemed like ridiculous.
And the one in Europe does over 400. The Mercedes.
In fairness, this is a 2.7 versus like those smaller engines, but still, it's like the only engine, and people complain it's like it makes more power than any Colorado or Canyon ever did.
Yeah, and it makes it across a wider rev range because it's a turbo. But yeah.
And to what you're saying, this should be the CT5 space engine. That would be fantastic. Although then the V6, well, the twin turbo V6 makes
the twin turbo V6 is it's good.
It makes enough more that they could have a gap still, but dump the 2-liter and throw that, because the 2-liter was pretty quick. It's very well. I'll talk about it when I review it, but it's very German in the sense of I think it makes more power than it says.
Yeah. All right, now we're getting off topic. So
yeah, so that's it with the trucks.
All right.
Just talking about how. So one quick thing is, so when these trucks, you said down the road. Well, I'm gonna be more optimistic down the road. Okay. So imagine when these trucks get crashed, or they just have high mileage and they end up in junkyards. The engine swap possibilities. Like, I'm just gonna go down to the yard and pick up a 500 horsepower twin turbo 3-liter for like $2,000 and shove it in my Miata.
Oh, there's a Hurricane here. I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So expect to see those in Silvias. Oh, sorry, SXs, Miatas, Corollas, whatever else, RX-8s.
A Crossfire.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Prowler. Imagine a Prowler with a Hurricane. It wouldn't fit, I'm sure, but it'd still be cool.
No, probably wouldn't.
All right. So we will take another break on the Auto Guide Show brought to you by eBay Motors. And when we come back, when I come back, I'll talk to Colum about F1. Season's wrapping up, and there's been just a little bit of news on F1 this week, especially pertinent to North America. Mm-hmm. And then Kyle and I'll be back to talk about what we've been up to and what's next. Picture this, you're in the garage, your favorite room in the house, and you're tuning up your engine with parts you found on eBay. Every piece is just locking perfectly into place. You step back to admire your work, hands covered in grease, and because you're committed to driving that thing further than the odometer can handle, you start to think to yourself, you know what, I could probably also use some new brakes, some shocks and struts, and this baby deserves a new air filter. So you head right back to eBay. You can find any part you need there, it's unreal. From wipers and headlights to cold air intakes, exhaust systems, and even that turbo you've had on your mind. eBay is the stocked garage of your dreams, and you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. Because eBay knows DIY fixes can be major, and mods are always intense, so you need to know that these parts guaranteed to fit every time before you dive in wrench first. And in the off chance you order a part and it doesn't fit, send it back, simple as that. You know what you love more than the car itself is driving it. You're serious when it comes to engine maintenance, and you're locked in when you're headed into a build. And that's exactly why you start with eBay, minor fix or complete overhaul. You want to get your ride back on the road, and you've got eBay Guaranteed Fit. So eBay created My Garage, where all you have to do is add your ride's info and get the exact parts that fit. When you see the green check, you're a click away from that part clicking perfectly into place. So now that you know all that, imagine standing at that open garage door looking at your car you love more than anything, knowing that anything is possible. Whether it's keeping it on the road forever or turning it into something that's never been on the road before. Because with eBay, your garage just got a whole lot bigger. Get all the parts you need at prices you love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Okay, let's welcome Colum Wood back to the show to talk F1. The season's almost over. I mean, we might run out of stuff to talk about in the off season, but the way this is going, I doubt it.
As we've seen, like over the breaks, there seems to be more, silly season news than there is actual racing news. So,
Yeah, so since we last talked, Verstappen locked the championship, which we pretty much knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
Manufacturers, Ferrari closed the gap a bit, and I know people are saying it's still up in the air, but 2 races left. I think it's like 15 points a race on average they'd have to close. Barring someone crashing out, I just don't see it happening. Those two teams are so close to each other usually.
Yeah, but they're, McLaren seems to have just lost a little mojo. It's like they got deflated. Like they kind of figured they couldn't win Lando couldn't win the championship. So he's just kind of given up, and he's not going like full tilt. So I don't know. It could still happen. I could still see Ferrari getting in there, because if they can get, Charles and Sainz to work together, that is. But those two cars seem quick, and, maybe Ferrari will screw up the strategy as they always do. Who knows? So
yeah, they got to definitely win one of these 2 races, I think, to get that gap. Or like I said, if McLaren are 2 DNFs. But I mean, both those cars, Ferrari and McLaren, knock on wood, have had pretty solid record. I mean, like the odd DNF's usually been because of a tangling accident as opposed to an engine or something.
Yeah. So it could happen. I'm curious too if last 2 races Verstappen will be, because he really was the most docile in that last race, right? He was like, just get the championship, let the Ferraris pass you. I mean, he fought off, I think, Leclerc a little bit, which was decent to watch. But I'd be curious if, maybe he'll be back to his elbows out racing for the last 2 races of the year. I saw some rumor online, but I can't back it up, that they're going to have, I think, Isaac Hadjar in for FP1 for Verstappen, which is, again, they always portray it as some Verstappen won't be in, but it's no, that's the plan. That's just what they do. But I actually don't know if that's accurate or not. So,
but that's interesting, because that's the only practice this weekend because of the sprint chaos. So
good point. So then I don't see that. I'm sure that's just BS then. I
don't think they're going to throw Verstappen out for sprint qualifying, having not turned a lap.
No, he would. They'd never hear the end of it. The radio would just be lit up with him grumping. So, yeah, not a good plan.
But yeah, so it's one of those fun weeks, double race. So
yeah.
And now that I say that, you know what? Okay, if Ferrari's a chance, because that's 2 points races, you can get points.
Good point. They can grab a couple extra ones if they can do well in the sprint. So not a lot of points for the sprint, but something. So
yeah, I think it's 8 points and down. So I mean,
think so, yeah.
All right, so let me see. You gave me some pictures here, so let's see what we got for news.
First
Oh,
of all,
well.
oh, imagine that. This is the prototype livery, whatever. I saw a lot of other fake ones online that looked a lot cooler than this, I think. But
But that's not even an F1 car,
I
unless that's what they
know.
think the next regulations are going to be. It's more of an
Oh,
Indy car.
yeah, maybe that's it. Well, and actually, speaking of this, so we talk about all the Cadillac things. One of the interesting rumors I heard online is that actually Cadillac has been already, like, with scale or two size models testing against these regulations using Toyota's wind tunnel in Cologne, Germany, and that they can do all this before they're an official team, which means that it won't go under the cost cap, right? They're basically getting a head start of, like, the regulations are public, so they just get the rules and then build a Formula One car and do other testing, spend a couple $1 $100 million, and it won't go against your cost cap for the next year. That could all be made up, or it's smart business, really, right? So,
but isn't Toyota partnered up with Haas? So why would
Yeah.
they be doing this with Cadillac?
Yeah. So I mean, I shouldn't say too much. I was chatting with somebody from Toyota the other day who was basically saying, like, first of all, they don't know a lot, like the US Toyota folks here, and then it's a pretty light touch sponsorship. So they don't even know that much about it. But again, they may not be privy to the conversation. It wasn't someone who would necessarily know. So yeah, I could still see it happening.
I wonder if first year Cadillac will race with their like their Cadillac colors, that silver with the red and the yellow from the badge. I mean, I don't think they'll have a sponsor first year. They probably want to get their name out as much as possible.
I'm sure they will. Yeah, just a great big, and it's not like, if it was a Chevy or something, they're sort of the usual, like, other Chevy racing sponsors you might go to, right, to partner up with. But Cadillac likes to kind of go it alone. So, but I guess the big question's, who will the drivers be, right?
Yeah. Well, this is like almost what I've been doing for years with the F1 racing games, the video games. I always make a team Oldsmobile. So kind of in there by, proxy. So drivers, yeah, there's been so much debate. People keep saying Daniel Ricciardo. They're not going to put him in the car. I know he likes America, but he's kind of done. And I think he himself is kind of done. Like,
yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think they can, like, they can afford to sort of, I don't want to say waste a year, right? But, like, they really need to hit the ground running, and somewhat, not necessarily problematically, but just sort of functionally, they're really going to need to have an American driver, right? So I know Ricardo's sort of honorary American, but all the signs point to Colton Herta from IndyCar as being, like, the guy. So and apparently Mario Andretti, who will have some involvement with the team, right, as sort of an advisor, et cetera. He's actually said that Colton Herta is a top, one of their top picks that they're looking at. So
interesting, because like Haas never had an American driver, so I wonder why Cadillac. I guess because they're like the whole package, the American team, sort of like how Mercedes wants. Well, they used to want German drivers. They don't seem to care about that anymore.
No.
Yeah. So Herta does make a lot of sense. I could see them plucking someone off of one of their endurance race teams, because not quite the same car, but they're pretty top talent there. I mean, some of them, like the Taylors, have been around long, so it wouldn't be them, but maybe some kid. One name I keep seeing coming up is Colum, because he has no ride next year. But I also don't think Cadillac will want someone who's not either in F1 next year or, like, isn't in Indy, like somewhere where they're still racing this, since they're
and I think they're really going to need a level-headed, experienced driver, right? Like how the Audi Sauber thing brought over Hulkenberg, right? Like, they don't have to be a world champion; they just have to be a reliable, good driver. And so apparently, Bottas has actually publicly said that he's been in talks with Cadillac folks, which again is, like, just seems like kind of a smart move. He'd be pretty reliable as an option. Another option that I've seen sort of kicked around for fun was Magnussen. And my first thought is, like, I mean, Magnussen's been pretty handily beat by Hulkenberg all year. I don't see that happening per se. However, Magnussen, in his year off, right, from Formula One, there actually raced Cadillac prototypes in that year. I'm pretty sure he did. And then, in addition, of course, his dad Jan raced for Corvette racing for General Motors for decades, I think, and has won Le Mans like, a half a dozen times or something. So there's a great family relationship there, right? So Magnussen's could be solid. He's also he's not what I would call like the level-headed expert, right? Like the level-headed like senior team leader. He's the senior guy, but he's a little bit of a hothead too, right? So
yeah, like back to Bottas. I mean, he won't be racing next year, from what it looks like. He could race somewhere else, but he's that guy you're describing, because he, was on a winning team, and then he's on a not so winning team, but he's always put it in and usually outdone his teammates. So
yeah,
I was just looking here because they don't have to pick their drivers this winter, right?
Yeah.
So here's the drivers whose contract, as far as the experts know, expires at the end of next year. So George Russell, can I go pick him up? I don't think that's going to happen. No. Yuki Tsunoda's done after next year.
I heard that. Yeah, I sort of saw this come up. I wouldn't, and the Yuki's tied to this potential Aston Martin rebrand with the Honda engines, right? So we'll see if that happens either, though.
Antonelli, but I think that's just they're giving him a 1-year deal to see how he does before.
Yeah.
Secure him. Lance Stroll, nope, that's not happening.
No,
he's beyond. That's right, he's beyond 25. That's right. He got the big deal. Yeah.
I love the George Russell one. He's like Mr. Stylish. They could like use that to help brand, sell Cadillacs to Europeans.
Exactly. That's what they've been trying to do for decades, and that's why they're racing here. Is they want to make it more of a world brand. You could have them do all those stylish commercials.
Yeah. So we'll see what it turns out, right? If I can parlay that into our next sort of the topic. I don't know if you have it up there or not. We're talking about Cadillac or Formula One and that European focus. And it's funny because they've been, I was listening to another podcast, Joe Pompliano, who does a lot of like business meets sports intersection, which I think is always fascinating. And obviously Formula One is, he comes up regularly. And a recent podcast of his, he was talking all about how sort of his inclination, and I don't know if he knows more, is that really Formula One is using the Vegas race as like a, one of their calendar events. Like it really is a super, super important thing to Formula One in general. And so what you're looking at here is that part of this sort of focus. And it's this, basically what they're doing is they know they have this facility that where the grandstands are and the main building for the pits in Vegas. And it's empty for most of the year. So they're turning it into what's been called Grand Prix Plaza. And basically, I'm looking at this little description here. It says, this is like on a LinkedIn press release, whatever. Located at the heart of Las Vegas, Grand Prix Plaza is a multi-use complex and year-round destination for private events, and soon to feature interactive experiences and exhibitions, a merchandise store, and much more. The 39-acre property houses state-of-the-art Las Vegas Grand Prix pit building and will be known as the home of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And so they'll have a whole bunch of stuff there. They'll be like, one of these interactive places, the Formula One or a F1 themed go-kart track and all kinds of things. So it seems like they're going to monetize this even more than they already have. So
the go-kart track should be a scale model of the Vegas Grand Prix circuit.
So apparently, like what you see there is that it will actually go out onto like the real circuit, just for, I guess you can say that, right, for shits and giggles. So it will like exit the building and go out like onto part of the road there that basically nobody else uses, and then it will come back in. I think that's the idea.
And it'll shut it down, I guess, on race weekend.
I'm sure it'll just disappear on race weekend. Yeah,
it'd be a fun little obstacle. You got some kids out go-karting.
Go
around the corner.
Yeah, don't get wiped out by a Formula One car. So it looks like it's cool, but it speaks to how that European focus of Formula One is, I think, finally changing. Maybe I've been this big skeptic actually that the Americans will come in for a while and it will be cool, and then they will go away. And it will go back to being the sort of secret European thing that only a few people talk about. But maybe this is it. Maybe it's finally hit the mainstream in North America, and it'll just keep growing and growing from there. So it's where all the money is, right? If you can make adding a fourth US race, which I know I really doubt they would at this point, but you would make more money than if you increased viewership or attendance at all the European races by a few percentage points, right? Like, the opportunity in the US is just so large that it's hard not to look at that and want a piece of the action. So
Yeah. So just before I let you go back to Cadillac, now that we know they're officially in, how do you think they're going to do? Because I'm torn, because if you look at, let's say, GM as a whole, the Corvette program that you brought up earlier was super successful. It won Le Mans so many times. And I mean, right now it's not as much, but I don't know how all in they are like they used to be with the C6 and the C7. Cadillac's Daytona prototypes were always battling for the win of the 24 Hours of Daytona. If they didn't win, they were always right there. I mean, the Taylors won that so many times. But then Cadillac's various attempts at Le Mans have always been pretty poor. So I don't know where this is going to fall.
You see, I think their attempts at Le Mans were poor because they were divided interests internally, right? Like that they were still focused. They were either too many people at the company were paying attention to the Chevy Corvette efforts, and that's what they're focused, and they didn't really put all their, like, you're splitting them between two, right? It just doesn't make sense. It's like when wasn't there when like Volkswagen and Audi were both running Le Mans like prototypes, and it was kind of like, well, you're kind of the same car. So it was a Porsche and Audi. It was like, well, it's kind of this, and it's weird. You're competing with yourself, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So we'll see, right? Like I would say like they're going to be super serious about it. Like this isn't just for fun, right? But at the same time, I mean, some of the greatest sort of institutions in the world could have come in and failed miserably, right? So, right. So anything can happen. I think Toyota learned a lot, though, and I think had it not come to because I think they pulled out in like the 08 recession, or whatever, they could have. They were just on the cusp of getting serious about it.
Well, that's like Honda, right? I mean, they've had great success, but the last time they were really not giving engines, but they had their own team. They got out the year that Braun then won, and then it became the Mercedes juggernaut. So like they were going the right way. They just left too early. But
sure did.
To your point about divided interest, like with the Le Mans program, they're always like they're making dedicated engines, but they're usually trying to adapt from something else. Whereas here you need to go ground up, like they do with the Indy engines, and they're like, I don't know if they still do, but they've had Olds and Buick and Chevy. They always just rebrand it, but it's always some sort of dedicated engine. So I'm excited. I think having an 11th team just makes it more interesting, and people have talked about expanding points, and I'm for that too. I mean, I know people are like, oh, tradition, but if 12 people get points, then it's more interesting all through the field. Yeah,
traditions change. It'll be good to have at least, even if they're not at the top at the start, which I'm sure they won't be, the more midfield battles makes it more interesting. More battles is more interesting overall, right? And that's what you got to appreciate, because there are the years that there's just like last year with Max, it just blew everybody away and it gets boring. And so you have to be a fan of you have to give a crap about who someone's passing someone for seventh. Like when you actually care and you enjoy the racecraft, then the racing is that's why you're like, this is the world's best racing. So
and that test, preseason test that they all meet and do next year, so the 26 preseason test, that thing's going to probably be aired by all the usual networks, because it's going to have so much interest, because all these new teams and existing teams with new cars, everyone's going to be like, there'll be sandbagging, there'll be all sorts of things, and then the first race will be interesting.
There will. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, and we will be back next week with the final week of F1.
Da, da, da.
See ya. All right, see ya. All right, well, we'll wrap up this episode with what is next and what's been going on. So this week, you and I were both in jumbo luxury SUVs. Some of us in more jumbo.
Yeah, mine was just single XL. Yours was double XL.
Yeah, so you have the Lexus LX600, which is going to have the 700 hybrid soon, but we wanted to compare it because it lined up more reasonably with price and power. The Infiniti QX80, which is all new this year, and again, we won't get into the whole comparison, but as you and I both said, it's one of those vehicles where it's all new.
Yeah.
It really departed from its old. Like they could have called it something else if they wanted. There's pretty much nothing that got carried over. So
yeah, it's impressive, and it was eye-opening because this isn't the sort of comparison that we typically do. So yeah, it's been good.
eye-opening. Can't miss it.
Yeah.
And everything glows. So that's been this week. You and I didn't travel, which is fun.
No.
Next week, we're both not on the road again. Well, until the end of the week.
Yeah.
But we'll have another podcast by then. So we'll talk about that then. But next week, we are doing a comparison with two big 3-rows. Sounds familiar.
Technically, they're mid-sizers because, as I think we said on the last episode, compact SUV should really be mid-size now, but mid-size should probably be full-size because the Explorer and the CX90 are both technically mid-size, but they're 3-row SUVs. That should be large, but yeah.
Yeah, like when you break 200 inch in length.
Yeah.
You're not mid-size anymore, but
yeah.
So this may sound on the surface a little out there, but there's a reason. They're the only two in that class that have their engines pointed north-south. Everyone else is front wheel bias. These two are rear wheel bias. Obviously they're all-wheel drive, but yeah, they're both, I wouldn't say technically more premium, but the driving experience should be better. So we haven't driven the Explorer since the big refresh, right?
Yeah, I drove the refreshed one.
Oh, right. Yeah, you got to go on the short
months
drive.
ago. Yeah. And then
Right.
CX90 we've driven a couple times now.
Yeah, so it's an interesting pairing. We're all getting the 4 cylinders of both. One's turboed and one's plug-in hybrid. And power-wise, they're not overly close, but I bet they're going to perform pretty close when we actually get them back-to-back, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I would have much preferred the Turbo 6 in terms of price for the CX90, but yeah, I mean that's the interesting play here. So yeah, it'll be a fun week.
All right, well, I guess that wraps up this week. We'll be back next week with more reviews. We've got some cool comparisons of 3-rows going up early next week. Seems to be my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, that wraps it up. So Kyle and I will be back next week, and then as we get into the holidays, we'll have to sort of see who's around. But you have a couple trips in a row, and then I have a trip. But hopefully, we make every week.
Yeah, it should be fine. Should be fine. Easy.
Should be fine. I think your one day at home is when we record the podcast. So
that's it.
That works.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. Excellent.
All right. Well, we'll see everyone hopefully next week.
So long, everybody.
Picture this. You're halfway through a DIY car fix, tools scattered everywhere, and boom, you realize you're missing a part. It's okay, because you know whatever it is, it's on eBay. They've got everything: brakes, headlights, cold air intakes, whatever you need, and it's guaranteed to fit, which means no more crossing your fingers and hoping you ordered the right thing. All the parts you need, at the prices you'll love, guaranteed fit every time. eBay, things people love.